The first thing Lily said when she stepped into my home was, "Oh, this is cute. So old-fashioned." She let the words hang in the air like perfume that turns sour the longer it lingered. I smiled anyway, the kind of smile mothers perfect over years of being overlooked, and said, "Make yourself comfortable, dear." My son Daniel followed behind her, carrying a small bouquet of supermarket flowers. He looked tired, almost apologetic. "Mom, Lily's been so excited to meet you," he said. But her eyes were already scanning the walls, the furniture, the chipped teapot on my counter. The one Daniel had painted when he was 6. Dinner was simple. I'd spent hours preparing it. Homemade dumplings, steamed fish, stir-fried vegetables, recipes passed down from my own mother back in Taiwan. The table smelled of ginger and garlic, warm and comforting. Lily wrinkled her nose slightly. "Oh, it's very authentic," she said, glancing at Daniel's plate like she was doing him a favor by sitting there. Her parents joined us later. Sharp suits, loud laughter, perfume thick as their accents. They talked about Daniel's new promotion, the wedding venue, the apartment they planned to help him buy. I kept the tea warm, my tone soft, until I heard the shift, that quick slide into Mandarin, sharp and careless. "She has no idea, does she?" Lily said, laughing softly. "Look at her, she probably thinks we're impressed. I mean, it's a nice attempt, but this whole place smells like a takeout box." Her mother smiled. "Just be patient, sweetheart. 1 year after the wedding, and you'll have what you want." I didn't move. I didn't blink. I just lifted the teapot, refilled her cup, and said in perfect Mandarin, "Tea tastes better when shared with honesty." The silence that followed was almost musical. Her face went pale. My son froze mid-bite. And for the first time that evening, I saw her mask slip, just enough to glimpse the truth hiding behind her pretty smile. Daniel's fork froze halfway to his mouth. "Mom," he said slowly, eyes darting between us, unsure what just happened. Lily tried to laugh it off too quickly. "Oh, do you speak Mandarin? That's so impressive." Her tone cracked on the last word, like glass under pressure. I smiled faintly. "I understand more than I speak," I said softly, setting down the teapot. "And I heard enough." The air thickened. Even the fish on the table seemed to lose its steam. Lily's parents exchanged nervous glances. Her mother tried to recover, saying, "It was just a joke, cultural misunderstanding." But Lily's eyes betrayed her, wide, restless, calculating. She wasn't sorry. She was caught. Daniel shifted uncomfortably. "What's going on?" I looked at him, my son, the boy who once held my hand crossing busy streets, who used to run home just to smell my cooking, and now he looked like a stranger sitting across the table. "She insulted you?" he asked. "In Mandarin?" I didn't answer directly. "Your fiancée has a sharp tongue," I said gently, "but perhaps not as sharp as she thinks." For a moment, silence stretched. Then Lily leaned forward, her sweet tone returning like a mask slipping back into place. "I didn't mean it that way," she said. "I just didn't realize she understood. You know how moms can be sensitive." The words landed like small knives wrapped in sugar. I nodded slowly, the smile never leaving my lips. "Of course. We mothers are very sensitive. Especially when our sons bring home someone they think will take care of them." Her expression flickered, a split second of panic before she composed herself. Daniel exhaled, rubbing his temples. "Can we not do this right now? Please." That please wasn't for me. It was for her. And that hurt more than any insult in any language. I gathered the plates quietly. The sound of porcelain against wood filled the silence. Lily whispered something to her mother, who smirked faintly. I pretended not to notice, but inside, something shifted. A seed planted. Not of anger, but of awareness. As I rinsed the dishes, I thought, if they think I'm weak because I'm quiet, they've mistaken silence for surrender. I didn't know it yet, but that dinner was not an ending. It was the beginning of their unraveling. The next morning, I woke up to the faint sound of laughter downstairs. Lily's voice, light, practiced, too sweet to be real, drifted through the hallway. She was sitting in my kitchen, wearing my apron, making breakfast for my son. Daniel looked at her the way he used to look at me when he was little, full of admiration. Something inside me twisted. She caught my eye as I entered, that smug little smile flickering for just a heartbeat. "Morning, Mrs. Lin," she said, flipping the eggs. "I thought I'd help out. You've done enough for us already." There was a delicate poison in her tone. One Daniel couldn't hear, but I could feel it like a sting. "Very thoughtful," I said quietly, sitting at the table. "But I enjoy cooking." "Oh, I know," she said. "Daniel told me how you used to cook all his favorite meals. I guess I'll have to learn to match that someday." The words sounded sweet, but her eyes were sharp, a warning, almost a challenge. Daniel smiled, oblivious. "See, Mom? She's trying so hard to fit in." I nodded, but my heart felt heavier with every bite. That day, I noticed small things. My favorite vase moved. My slippers gone. My framed wedding photo, no longer on the mantle. She was rearranging my world, inch by inch, like someone quietly rewriting a story that wasn't hers to tell. I didn't confront her. Not yet. I wanted to see how far she'd go. That night, I overheard her on the phone. Her voice hushed, urgent, but laced with laughter. "No, don't worry. He's hooked. Once we're married, it's all ours. The condo, her savings, everything. She's too soft to stop us." My hands trembled, but my face stayed still. She thought I couldn't understand her words again, this time in English. She underestimated a mother who'd built her life from nothing, who'd survived a country change, a husband's death, and loneliness. In that moment, the warmth I'd always carried, the love that had raised my son, fed him, protected him, turned into something colder, sharper. Not hate, not even revenge. Something stronger. I smiled faintly in the dark. If she wanted everything I had, then she was about to learn just how much a quiet mother could take back. That I felt my hands tremble as the sound of her laughter filled the room. Light, sharp, and soaked in arrogance. She leaned closer to Carter, whispering something in Mandarin that made his face flush red. I understood every word. She thought she was clever, hiding venom behind a sweet accent. But she didn't know that I had lived in Beijing for 6 years, long before she was even born. Her words sliced through me like glass. "Your mother, she acts humble, but look at her clothes. Old-fashioned. She probably saved coupons for that dress." Her friends giggled, their fake sympathy oozing like honey. My son didn't hear. Or maybe he chose not to. That silence was its own betrayal. I smiled, holding the teapot steady though my heart was boiling. Every polite gesture felt like armor now, my calm face hiding the storm inside. I poured her more tea. She accepted it without meeting my eyes, still talking in Mandarin. "I'll tolerate her until the wedding. After that, I'll convince Carter to move away. Somewhere better. Somewhere without this." My throat tightened. Somewhere without me. For a moment, I almost broke. But then something inside shifted. Not anger. Something colder. Sharper. I realized she wasn't just mocking me. She was measuring me. Testing if I was too soft to notice, too kind to fight back. I met her gaze and smiled. So gently it must have terrified her if she'd noticed. But she didn't. She thought I was still the quiet, clueless mother. The perfect target. The night stretched long, the air heavy with hidden meanings. I asked small, innocent questions in English, pretending to misunderstand her comments. She responded with her sugary tone, thinking she was winning. But each word she spoke, I stored away like a weapon. Carter, my sweet boy, didn't see any of it. He only saw love. That broke me more than her insults ever could. When the dinner ended, she hugged me goodbye, all fake smiles and perfumed lies. "You're such a lovely woman," she said aloud. But in Mandarin, she added softly, "Enjoy the last few dinners. Soon he'll be mine." I nodded, whispering back in perfect Mandarin, "We'll see, my dear." Her face froze. For the first time that evening, she realized I understood everything. And that's when her smile finally cracked. The room went silent after my words slipped out. Soft calm, but sharp enough to cut the air in half. Her eyes widened, the mask slipping for a second before she caught herself. "Oh, you speak Mandarin?" she said, forcing a laugh, her voice trembling slightly. I smiled, setting the empty teapot down. "Enough," I replied. "Enough to understand when someone disrespects my home." That was the first crack. The first flicker of fear behind her polished face. She tried to recover, tossing her hair back, her tone sugar-sweet again. "Oh, it was just a joke. You know how young people are." But her hands told the truth. They were shaking. Carter, confused, looked between us. "What's going on?" he asked. She reached for him instantly, clinging to his arm again, painting herself as the victim. "Nothing, honey," she said. "I think your mom misunderstood." "No," I interrupted, my voice low but steady. "I understood perfectly." Inside, I could feel years of politeness unraveling. Every ignored comment, every smile I'd given to keep peace, every little piece of myself I'd buried for the sake of harmony, rising back to the surface like fire through ice. My pulse was calm now, my emotions sharp, controlled. This wasn't rage. It was a revelation. I stood up slowly, deliberately, and walked toward the kitchen counter. "You know," I said, keeping my back to her, "when I first met you, I thought you were good for my son. I wanted to believe that maybe he'd found someone kind." Behind me, her breathing quickened. "I am kind," she said too fast. "Kind people don't mock those who welcome them," I said, turning around, my eyes locked on hers. "Kind people don't use language as a weapon and call it culture." The silence that followed was deafening. Even the clock on the wall seemed to pause. Carter opened his mouth to speak, but I held up my hand. "Not now." At that moment, she knew this wasn't just a dinner anymore. It was a reckoning. I smiled again, soft but deliberate. "You're engaged to my son," I said. "That means soon you'll be family. And in this family, we don't hide behind fake smiles. We speak the truth, even if it hurts." Her eyes darted away, panic flickering like a trapped bird. She didn't know it yet, but that night wasn't the end. It was only the beginning of what I had quietly planned next. That night, after they left, I stood by the window, watching their car lights disappear down the quiet street. The reflection of my own face in the glass didn't look the same anymore. There was a calmness, yes, but beneath it, a quiet storm brewing. For years, I'd lived in this country trying to blend in, to not make waves. But something about her arrogance had lit a match I didn't know still existed inside me. I thought about every time someone had smiled at me like I was invisible, every time I'd been underestimated because of my accent, my wrinkles, my quietness. Tonight wasn't just about her. It was about all of it. The next morning, Carter called. "Mom, Mean feels terrible," he said, his voice hesitant. "She said it was a misunderstanding." I let him talk. I didn't interrupt. But every word he said wrapped tighter around the truth. He was too blinded by her charm to see the venom underneath. "Bring her over next week," I said finally, my tone warm, controlled. "We'll have dinner again." He sounded relieved. "Thanks, Mom. I knew you'd understand." I smiled, though he couldn't see it. "Oh, I understand perfectly." For the next few days, I prepared quietly. Not food this time, but something else. I pulled out an old box from the closet. Inside were photos, bank receipts, letters, everything I'd ever done to help Carter build his new life here. The condo lease, the savings account I'd transferred into his name, the paperwork showing every gift I'd given him. Mean thought she was marrying into wealth. What she didn't know was that everything, the car, the apartment, even the engagement ring, was still legally mine. By the time they came for dinner again, I was ready. I welcomed them the same way as before, calm, polite, pleasant. The table was set beautifully, candles flickering like nothing had ever happened. She smiled too brightly, her eyes searching mine, testing the ground. "Everything looks lovely," she said. "Oh, I'll do my best," I replied softly. "Especially when it's a special night." She tilted her head. "Special." I smiled wider. Yes. The kind of night when truth finally gets to sit at the table. Her face faltered. A flicker of unease. She didn't know yet, but by the end of the night, she'd realized this wasn't just another dinner. It was the beginning of her undoing. Dinner started like a play where everyone already knew their lines. Carter tried to keep things light, cracking small jokes, while Min smiled in that practiced, sugar-coated way she always did when she wanted something. But beneath that smile, I could see the tension in her shoulders, the flicker of nervousness in her eyes. She could feel something was different tonight, even if she didn't know what yet. I served the dishes one by one, calm and graceful, as if every movement was choreographed. My hands didn't shake, though my heart beat steady and strong in my chest. "You've adjusted so well to life here," I told her, pouring tea. "You must love America." She laughed softly. "Of course. It's better in every way." The arrogance slipped through her voice like oil through water. "Back home, it's all noise and struggle. Here, people know how to live." I nodded, letting her words hang in the air. "I see. You've come far." I turned to Carter. "Your fiancé is quite ambitious." He smiled proudly, too naive to hear the blade behind my words. "She's incredible, Mom. She's planning to start her own business after the wedding." "Oh really?" I asked. "Using whose money?" Her fork froze halfway to her mouth. For the first time, her confident mask cracked just slightly. She recovered quickly, forcing a laugh. "We'll manage, of course." I leaned forward, my voice dropping softer but sharper. "Yes, you've managed quite well already, haven't you? Especially with that secret Mandarin conversation at our last dinner." The color drained from her face. Her hand trembled, clattering the fork against the plate. Carter looked confused. "What conversation?" Her lips parted, searching for words, but I didn't give her the chance. "You thought I didn't understand," I said quietly, each word deliberate, slicing through the air. "But I did. Every single word." The room fell silent. Even the clock on the wall seemed to hold its breath. Min stammered. I didn't mean." "Oh, you meant every bit of it," I interrupted, my tone steady but my eyes burning. "You insulted me in my own home. You mocked the hands that raised the man you claim to love." Her father tried to interject, but I turned my gaze toward him, calm, unshaken. "Don't bother defending her. The truth doesn't need translation." Carter looked between us, panic dawning in his eyes as realization set in. I could almost hear his heart breaking in the silence that followed. But that silence wasn't the end. It was only the calm before the storm I was about to unleash. Carter's fork dropped onto his plate with a dull clink, the sound cutting through the silence like a blade. He stared at me, his voice barely a whisper. "What's she talking about?" Min's eyes darted between us, her words stumbling over panic. "She's twisting it, Carter. I was just joking, just..." But her voice wavered. Lies taste bitter when the truth is already in the air. I didn't yell. I didn't need to. My calm was more dangerous than anger. "A joke," I repeated softly, leaning forward. "When you called me a pig face. When you said you'd marry him, get your visa and leave in a year." Carter's face drained of color. His breathing quickened. The betrayal had found its mark, and the explosion wasn't mine, it was his. "You said that," he whispered, disbelief laced with heartbreak. Min reached out, desperate. "Carter, no, you don't understand your mother." But I wasn't finished. "Oh, he understands," I said, standing slowly. "He just never wanted to believe that the woman he loved could use him like a pawn." The tension snapped. Carter stood, the chair scraping against the floor, his voice rising. "You lied to me." She flinched, tears pooling but never falling, crocodile tears, the kind that only serve the liar. "I didn't mean it like that. I didn't think she could understand me." That sentence hit harder than any insult before. I smiled faintly, not out of pride, but pain. "You saw my accent. My traditions. You thought that made me small." There was a pause, sharp, heavy, almost cinematic. You could hear the quiet breaking of illusions, the slow crumble of love built on deception. And yet, inside that silence, something powerful began to shift. I turned to Carter. I tried to warn you, son. But sometimes, the truth has to be lived, not told. Min's mask finally shattered. She dropped to her knees, sobbing, begging, her words tangled in desperation. Please, I love you. I didn't mean. Carter's eyes were cold now. You don't love me. You love what I can give you. That was the moment. The emotional peak before revenge begins. The betrayal had exploded, the illusion burned away, and in the ashes, only truth remained. I walked past her, each step slow, deliberate. You wanted my son, my home, my life. But you forgot one thing. She looked up, trembling. What? I paused at the doorway, my voice calm as ever. Everything you wanted belonged to me first. The words lingered like smoke, heavy and haunting. Because the real revenge wasn't in shouting or anger. It was in reclaiming power, quietly, completely, without ever raising a hand. The next morning, the house felt different. Still, quiet, almost too clean. As if the air itself had washed away something rotten. Carter hadn't spoken much after dinner. He barely slept. I could hear him pacing his room, replaying every word Min had said in Mandarin, the same language I was never supposed to understand. By sunrise, he came into the kitchen, eyes swollen but resolute. Mom, he said, voice low. I called off the engagement. I didn't respond immediately. I just handed him a cup of tea, my way of saying I'm proud of you. But deep down, there was a part of me still trembling. A mix of heartbreak, relief, and something darker that hadn't settled yet. Min had underestimated me, but what she didn't realize was that her cruelty had awakened something I'd buried for years. The quiet woman she mocked wasn't weak. She was calculating, patient, and now she was done playing nice. Later that day, I visited the property office. The condo I had planned to gift them, the one overlooking the bay, with glass walls and a future written in my son's name. I had it transferred back to mine. Legally, quietly, without a single argument. I left no note, no hint. Just a signature and a smile. A week passed before Min found out. She stormed into my house uninvited, mascara streaked, words sharp as glass. You can't do this. Carter and I were supposed to live there. I looked at her, calm as ever. We're supposed to, I repeated softly. But you see, I don't give homes to people who see me as less than human. Her mouth opened, but no sound came. That silence, oh, it was sweet. Like justice brewed slow and served cold. I leaned closer, just enough for her to hear the whisper that would haunt her long after. In America, we have a saying, respect is earned. Not inherited, not faked. For the first time, she didn't have a comeback. She just stood there, small and trembling, realizing too late that the woman she mocked had just outplayed her in her own game. When she left, Carter sat beside me, his voice trembling. You didn't just protect me, Mom, he said. You taught me what real strength looks like. And that was the moment everything came full circle. The betrayal had exploded, but what rose from it wasn't bitterness. It was clarity. I didn't lose a son that day. I reclaimed myself. And as I watched the sun dip behind the skyline, I realized, revenge isn't always fire and fury. Sometimes it's just silence, and the power of walking away with everything that's yours. When I look back now, I don't see pain anymore. I see freedom. For years, I thought love meant giving endlessly. My time, my savings, my forgiveness. I built my world around people I thought would cherish it, only to learn that some hearts don't understand sacrifice. They only understand ownership. But when that dinner happened, when I sat there, pretending not to understand while every cruel word sliced through me, I learned something powerful. Silence can be your shield, and patience your greatest weapon. I didn't scream. I didn't fight. I waited. And when the moment came, I took back everything they tried to take from me, my dignity, my peace, my home. Now my condo is quiet again. The city. Lights shimmer outside my window like they used to when Carter was little. and the only sound that fills the air is the soft clinking of my teacup. Sometimes I think about Min, and I wonder if she ever understood what she lost. Not the condo, but the love of a mother who once welcomed her with open arms. You see, revenge isn't about destruction. It's about revelation. It's about showing someone what they truly are, by refusing to become like them. And maybe that's the hardest kind of revenge. The one where you win not by shouting louder, but by walking away wiser. If there's one thing I've learned through all this, it's that peace isn't found in people. It's found in boundaries. And forgiveness doesn't mean letting them back in. It means letting yourself move on. So tonight, as I sit here, the city humming below, I whisper a small prayer. Not for her, not for him, but for myself. Because I finally learned that even when your heart breaks, your spirit can still stand tall. And that sometimes the sweetest revenge is simply living better than they ever imagined you could.